Hi everyone, so today let's take a look at Shadow of Mordor, a Lord of the Rings game from Warner Brothers. Now, this is an opportunity for Warner Brothers to kind of stick its flag in the ground and say, hey, we can still make great games. Shadow of Mordor has you playing a deceased ranger. That is dealt with very early on in the story, and you then become possessed by a wraith who is, well, essentially out for a bit of revenge. This creates quite a mystical opportunity in Shadow of Mordor, where you are a super-powered individual who essentially can't die. If you die, the wraith brings you back to life again. Now, what this game is offering, which is completely unique actually, and I think we'll probably see over the next few years get copied quite a bit, is in the Nemesis system, where every time you die, various characters that you have met, the people who have killed you, will get promoted up a chain of command. This leads to 5 warlords who you're going to have to defeat before coming on to the final big boss. The idea here works really well because to begin with, you're quite a weak character and you're going to die, so you're going to populate this kind of smorgasbord of people who really hate you. You're going to have to kill them in order to be able to take on those warlords without having lots of extra support. The warlords are extraordinarily difficult, especially if you don't take out their underlings first. And the way the game kind of folds together the narrative story that emerges based on the number of times you die, who you die whilst you're fighting, and the kind of layout of these various different warlords makes for a really engaging game. It changes the dynamic quite dramatically really, because you are weak at the beginning and you do die a lot, but as you level up and you become accustomed to your powers, etc., things become more easy. And so it kind of has this natural level progression that I've never really encountered in a game before. It's engaging and it keeps you wanting to play, because actually the ability to defeat the next war boss is really just down to you mastering the game. It works incredibly well, and at no point does it feel particularly frustrating because death is not a permanent thing in this game. It adds to the texture of the narrative story, a very interesting thing. Graphics on display here really are some of the best I've ever seen. On PC, this game easily hits 60 frames a second on modest hardware, and in actual fact, we've been running the game easily at 100 frames a second and enjoying every minute of it. Animations are fluid and the combat feels tight. You really do feel like a badass in this game when you're pulling off multiple attacks across multiple enemies on screen, sometimes fighting anything up to 20 to 30 different mobs, all simultaneously, and at no point does the combat become overloaded. The game gives you just enough breathing room to keep banging out those combos and keep hitting those enemies without taking damage. The way the character animation has been done here is exceptional. The orcs actually, or should I say the Uruk-hai, actually feel like they have personalities, and you get lots of different personalities emerging as you play through the game. At no point so far have I found I've repeated the same sets of dialogue multiple times, heard the occasional resample as it were, but not a massive number like you would expect to see in a game of this type. The replay value feels quite solid here. There's a lot of gameplay and lots of things to do across the map. One of the things I found a slight letdown is that the primary missions aren't the most fun to be had here. Actually, some of the most fun is had in some of the incidental side missions that occur. Overall, I really found Shadow of Mordor to be a fantastic game that kept me coming back to play time and time again. It's certainly deserving of a number of accolades this year, and I honestly think if they can continue this style of gameplay into other Lord of the Rings games, or even into other types of games, we might very well have a winning formula here. It all works surprisingly well. Thanks for watching. Do please subscribe to us on YouTube and Twitch, and please like and comment on these videos as well. We love to chat.